The Sinnoh hype train is real, and it is approaching the station. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are nearing release, and Pokemon Legends Arceus is not far behind. In the spirit of embracing the hype, today I'm going to be covering 5 mini-theories about these upcoming games and just the Sinnoh region in general. These theories are all fairly brief in their explanation, hence why they're mini-theories, but they're also all pretty cool ideas if I do say so myself, so I'm excited to get into it. I also wanted to mention that I'm currently doing a giveaway for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. All you have to do is listen to my Pokemon remixes on Spotify, and for every 5,000 new listeners I get by the time the games come out, I'll be giving away 1 free copy. We're already giving away 1 copy for sure, and we're well on our way to a second. So go check out my Spotify if you can, and help me give away some games, potentially to you. With that said though, let's get into the theories. This first one is a pretty fun one because it has to do with the backstories of 2 characters in particular. Aaron is a character in Sinnoh who is one of the members of the Elite Four, and in fact is the first one that you face. This is most likely due to the fact that he is the newest member, as in Pokemon Black and White 2, it is mentioned on one of the TV programs that Aaron used to be one of Sinnoh's gym leaders, but quit in order to join the Elite Four. The coolest detail about this revelation is definitely that Aaron is confirmed to have been a gym leader in Sinnoh at one point, which is a really cool detail for him to have as part of his backstory. But then the question becomes, which gym was Aaron a gym leader for? Well, looking at the 8 gyms we see in the Sinnoh games, there are 2 main options in my opinion. The first, and less likely of the 2, is that Aaron was formerly the gym leader in Oreburgh City, and Rourke took over for him. This makes sense since Rourke is the first gym leader you face, which would line up with him also potentially being the newest one. He also has a family connection with Canalave City's gym leader Byron being his father, so it's possible that that is what got him the job as well. Finally, in Diamond and Pearl, most of Aaron's Pokemon in their pre-evolved forms can be found in locations not too far from Oreburgh, making this city a decent candidate overall for where Aaron could have formerly been a gym leader. The option here that I think is the most likely, however, is Eterna City. Eterna City's gym hits all the same beats as Oreburgh's does, such as it being an earlier gym in the game and Aaron's Pokemon being found near here. However, this second point is stronger of a case for Eterna City, as it sits right next to Eterna Forest, which is surrounded by Route 205. And these 2 locations are where you can find pretty much all of Aaron's Pokemon in Diamond and Pearl in their earlier stages. Additionally, a bug-type gym would just make a lot of sense in this location thanks to Eterna Forest being right next door, and the current gym leader of Eterna City, Gardenia, also uses a Turtwig on her team. And this is noteworthy because Turtwig is a starter Pokemon, which gym leaders seldom ever use. So it could be evidence that Gardenia was an up-and-coming trainer in Sinnoh at one point who had selected a starter when she started on her adventure, and when Aaron left to become a member of the Elite Four, she got the job as the new gym leader thanks to her talent, explaining why she has a starter Pokemon on her team. I personally really like this explanation as it provides some cool backstory for 2 characters, and all of the evidence in general just supports the idea really well in my opinion. Next up, we're going to take a look at a Legends Arceus theory, as we've got a few of them to go over as well. The first one has to do with part of the potential plot of Legends Arceus, and given what we know about the game so far, I think it's pretty likely. The idea is that most likely during the game, we are going to encounter the native residents of the Sinnoh region, or rather the Hisui region as it's known at the time, and we're going to be interacting with them throughout the story. This is likely because if you look into the inspiration of Legends Arceus, you'll find that it is following a part of Japan's history pretty much point for point. The following is a very rough explanation, but basically, Sinnoh's inspiration, the Hokkaido region of Japan, also formerly had a different name just like Sinnoh. It used to be known as Izochi and was inhabited by a group of native people known as the Ainu. Then, in a very similar manner to the situation involving Native Americans in North America, the Japanese decided to colonize Hokkaido and pretty much just decided that the land was theirs and more or less forced the Ainu to assimilate into their culture. With that in mind, if you doubt how closely Legends Arceus is following this particular part of Japanese history, just take a look at the former Hokkaido government office. It's literally the Galaxy Team headquarters from the game to an exact T. So this story of Hokkaido's colonization is definitely being retold in Legends Arceus, which means we will probably see a tribe of native Hisuian people in this game. The thing that really seals the deal on this, though, is that on the Hisui region map, we can see people scattered throughout it, who seem to be wearing clothes resembling Dialga and Palkia, very much making them look like native people. For what it's worth, it's also already been mentioned that Sinnoh had ancient tribes inhabiting it in the Sinjo Ruins event in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So yeah, we're pretty much going to be meeting an indigenous tribe of people in Legends Arceus who were the original inhabitants of the Sinnoh region. And if real-world history is anything to go by, they unfortunately might not be treated as well as they should be by the Galaxy Team and the rest of the colonists from Jubilife Village. Going back to some more modern Sinnoh stuff, next up we have a theory about Mantine. Now, you might be wondering why I'm talking about Mantine, who is a Johto Pokemon, in a Sinnoh theories video. Well, it's because this theory is all about the idea that Mantine isn't a Johto Pokemon, but a Sinnoh Pokemon instead. Or, at the very least, it's a Johtoan regional evolution of Mantike. You see, although Mantine was introduced in Johto, its pre-evolution was introduced in Sinnoh. And if its first form is from the Sinnoh region, how could Mantine be natively from Johto? That doesn't really make any sense. You could technically make this argument for other baby Pokemon who debuted after their evolutions as well, but the reason why we're focusing on Mantine here is because of Remoraid. Remoraid is a Johto Pokemon as well, who has a unique symbiotic relationship with Mantine, so much so that a Remoraid is required to be in your party in order for Mantike to evolve. So the idea here is that the Mantine family isn't natively from Johto at all. They're actually from Sinnoh, and upon migrating to Johto, where Remoraid is located and is also the most plentiful in its numbers, Mantike developed a symbiotic relationship with Remoraid, which eventually allowed it to grow stronger to the point where it was able to evolve into Mantine. So basically, Mantine is a regional variant evolution before those were even a thing, which, if this is to be believed, is pretty cool. Next up is another Legends theory, and it's a follow-up to the previous one about the native tribes of Sinnoh. This theory is that Cynthia is going to be a descendant of this tribe or tribes, and she will have an ancestor character that will appear amongst them, just like Rowan and Cyrus do with Commander Kamado and Captain Silene. While Cynthia doesn't necessarily look like she would descend from an indigenous tribe, however, she and her family are from Celestic Town, and Celestic Town is noteworthy for two things: being one of the oldest towns in Sinnoh, and also preserving the history of the Sinnoh region itself. It also has the Celestic Ruins, which is basically a shrine for Dialga and Palkia, and we already know that these very likely native people are dressing in Dialga and Palkia related clothing, so it's practically guaranteed that they will be inhabiting the early Celestic town. And with Cynthia's family being from there, it's also very likely that her ancestor character, who is just likely to appear and be present anyway because it's frickin' Cynthia, will also appear here too, and she will be revealed as the descendant of a native Hisuian. Something else that should also definitely appear here is some kind of connection to Drasna, the Kalos Elite Four member, because she also implies that her grandparents are from Celestic Town as well. However, with Drasna being a Kalos character and not a Sinnoh one, I'm not exactly sure whether or not she will actually get any representation. Another thing that I think could legitimately happen in Legends Arceus is getting to witness the founding of Floraroma Town. Floraroma Town has an origin story that states that originally, nothing was able to grow on the land where it sits, but when someone expressed thanks for a blessing that they received, the entire town burst into a beautiful field of flowers like we see in Diamond and Pearl. This was all thanks to Shaman, as Shaman is known as the Gratitude Pokemon, and it's stated in its Pokedex entry that it's able to do exactly what happened in the story, turn barren land into a lush field of flowers. I think there's a pretty decent chance that we could see this event play out in Legends Arceus for a few reasons. First, since documenting Sinnoh's Pokedex is the goal of the game, Shaman would obviously have to be involved with that in some way. Second, since we are also going to be developing the Pokemon's Pokedex entries as well, and one of Shaman's Dex entries literally describes the events of Floraroma Town, it seems like it could happen. Finally, if we look at where Floraroma Town is on Sinnoh's map and compare it to Hisui's map, even though Hisui as it appears in this game is not a one-to-one representation of modern Sinnoh, the general vicinity of where Floraroma Town would be is looking pretty barren. It seems to sit right on the edge of the snowy area where there are no grass or trees, but also not really any snow either, since we can see the snow farther up north, which doesn't seem to appear here. So who knows, maybe we will get to experience this part of Sinnoh's history for ourselves, which I really hope will be the case, because that would be amazing. So there you have it, everybody. Those were a few Sinnoh and Legends Arceus mini-theories. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave the video a like, subscribe if you're new, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be back with another one very soon, and until then, as always, I love you guys, thanks for watching, and I will smell you guys later.